Nick Wilde said, taking charge, as he raced to a nearby police phone booth to quickly call Chief Bogo. "Bogo, we got us a huge unidentified object here," said Nick Wilde in a mad panic. "What does it look like, Wilde?" asked Chief Bogo through the phone. "A giant green, it looks like a giant fruit or something," said Nick Wilde. "Well, what is it, Wilde?" asked Chief Bogo, yelling through the phone. "I don't know what it is, just send us the biggest construction crane in Zootopia. It's on top of the tallest building and we have to get it down before it crushes the building of our city," screamed Nick, fearing the worst. Soon Chief Bogo took notice of the giant green apple too and called in for the biggest construction crane of Zootopia to come right away. Eventually, the beaver construction workers lowered the crane down towards Robert as the crane came closer to the giant green apple. "Please, beavers, how do I get to the tallest building of Zootopia?" Robert asked them. "You're on top of it, sir," they said to Robert. "I made it!" Robert cried happily with glee. With Robert's help, the beavers attached the crane to the stem of the giant green apple and lowered it downward to the city streets of Zootopia. With the help of the Zootopia Fire Department, Robert was lowered to the city streets of Zootopia as well, right off of the giant green apple. Thousands of animal reporters came up to him. "Where you from? Why are you here? What are you exactly?" they asked him, but Robert was very nervous at first. Nick Wilde quickly raced forward to Robert's defense and removed the animal reporters from crowding him. "Hold your fire, fellas, he's new here, clear up now." Nick went over to Robert. Robert was happy about being in the real and actual city of Zootopia, but he was very nervous to even talk at first. "It's okay, big guy, nobody's going to hurt you. Now, can you please tell us how you and this giant green thing got here?" Nick Wilde said to Robert. "I used a flock of 100 seagulls to get here," Robert said. Suddenly, Robert felt two hands upon his shoulders. They were human hands much like his own, only with hideous fingernails. It was Miss Settlers Bentel and Miss Gulch Forcible. They were so angry and enraged at Robert, they had driven their smashed car all the way across the sea to take Robert and the giant green apple back to that hideous house on the hill. "Come along, you're going home with us," they yelled angrily. "No, I'm not," Robert yelled. "What did you say?" Miss Settlers Bentel hissed. "I said, no, I'm not," Robert yelled. The animals of Zootopia gasped in shock. "I'm never going back with you," Robert yelled at the two nasty ladies. "Not me and not the green apple. I'll never be abused like dirt and worked to death by you two again," he yelled angrily. "How dare you speak to us this way? You hideous rodent! You idiot!" The two enraged ladies yelled angrily. They both charged after Robert, with fire axes from a nearby Zootopia fire engine. "Stop! Back away from him!" yelled Nick Wilde, protecting Robert from the two nasty ladies. "Stop! No more!" yelled Judy Hopps, but the two nasty ladies didn't listen. Before they could harm Nick, Judy, and Robert, Robert's new family appeared in the sky above. It was Basil, the great mouse detective, Wooster, Jenny, Bouncer, the Skog, Mrs. Brisby, and Charlotte A. Cavatica. Hooray! It's my new family. I knew they'd come to help me. Robert shouted happily. They floated down and landed on top of the giant green apple. Miss Settlers Bentle and Miss Gulch Forcible, if you remember, hated mice and spiders of every kind, backed away in horror, screaming as they dropped their axes. With help from Basil, Robert then lassoed the two nasty ladies with Miss Charlotte's spider thread, and they were hoisted into the air as Charlotte A. Cavatica wrapped them up into a giant cocoon. "Get those two nasty ladies out of here!" yelled Chief Bogo angrily at the top of his lungs. A loud cheer rang throughout the streets of Zootopia as the two evil ladies were taken away. Soon after, when they were brought down and untied, they were both arrested by the ZPD. Quickly, all the newspaper reporters of Zootopia made phone calls to address the headlines. "Stop the presses. I got a news front page. Giant mice invade the city with green apple," said one animal reporter. In big bold print, "World's first human being arrives with mammoth fruit," said another animal reporter. "Two nasty females, arrested by the ZPD," said the final animal reporter. Robert then turned to the crowds of Zootopia animals, to tell them about his family. "Everyone, these are my friends, the ones I've been telling you about: Bouncer from the bowling alley, Basil, the great mouse detective, the Skog, Wooster, Jenny, Miss Charlotte A. Cavatica, and Mrs. Brisby." "Can we taste your green apple?" asked all of the animal children of Zootopia to Robert. "Why don't you share it right now? It won't keep forever," suggested Bouncer happily to Robert. "Go ahead and eat it down to the core," Robert shouted happily to the crowds of Zootopia children. All the children cheered with joy. Soon the rest of the crowd joined in, as they all feasted on the giant green apple. Now, Zootopia was definitely a place where dreams come true after that, and it was indeed a perfect place where dreams were born, in the hearts of everyone in the city after that. "Hey! What was your name?" called Clohauser to Robert happily. "It's Robert," Robert called back with all his joy. They ate that giant green apple all the way down to the core, and Mr. Big paid it forward to Robert and his friends, by setting the core up in the rainforest district of Zootopia as a permanent home for them. Soon, they all found jobs in the city of Zootopia, and every one of them became multi-millionaires afterwards. Shortly after the arrival of Robert and the giant green apple, all of Zootopia rejoiced at the wedding of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, and after their honeymoon they both decided to move in with Robert and his new friends he had made inside of the giant green apple. As for Robert John Westlake, who once was the saddest and loneliest human being you could find, he now had a loving, but brand new family and all the friends in the world of Zootopia. On the other hand, since Robert John Westlake's Zootopia guests begged him again and again to hear the story with his adventure with the giant green apple, he wished for a way to share it with everyone in Zootopia, and that is exactly what you've just finished reading, for I was the one they had called the mysterious old man, the one who had helped Robert achieve his dream. Always remember, if you look at your life another way, marvelous miracles will be bound to happen to you. The end.